Okay, good evening, guys. We'll start with today's meeting. So I believe there are not many people here for the presentation. You can see not many people are scheduled today. So we'll wait for like 7:30 or 7:45 if anybody is waiting for the presentation. Else, you guys can ask me your general queries and then we can go through the session. Vinutna, you have any general queries or presentations? So currently I can see there are three people joining. So we'll
Good evening, sir.
yeah. So do you have any presentation left? Because I can see you are scheduled for EDA.
Yes, sir. I have, sir.
Yeah. So can you turn your camera on first?
Okay, sir. One second.
So have you given the EDA presentation?
No, sir.
Then
I have to present the EDA presentation, sir.
okay, then will you give it today?
Yes, sir.
Okay, then you can start.
Okay, sir.
Please turn your camera on first.
Yes, sir. Sir, is my screen visible, sir?
Yeah, it is visible.
Good evening, everyone. I am Y.Vinoothna, and my presentation and my task is exploratory data analysis, and I am from machine learning group. So before going to the presentation, I would like to give a small introduction by using a real life example. So let us consider I have a bowl of rice with me, uncooked rice. So I have to cook the rice by using the same procedure. So before cooking, I have to make sure that the rice is free from other pulses, so that it is cleaned, and I have to clean the rice before cooking. So these are the some pre-processing steps that we do before cooking the rice. So in the same way, when we have a large set of data with us, we have to make sure, and we have to make some machine learning model, and we have to make sure that the data is eligible and it is an appropriate for machine learning model. So for that, we have to analyze the data for making machine learning model. And we have to make sure that data is free from any errors, and it is and the data set contains an appropriate data for constructing for building the machine learning model. So now my presentation is about the pre-processing step before building the model, which is data analysis, which means we have to analyze the data. We have to explore the insights of data, and we have to make sure that data is free from errors. So let's move on to the, I hope my example is clear. Now, let us see about the task. So my task is to perform exploratory data analysis on the given data set, which is credit card fraud detection dataset, and I have to gain insights about the data and to identify patterns and trends in the data. And the dataset which is provided is credit card fraud detection. And the tools I have used here is Google Colab Jupyter Notebook. Now let's see something about the dataset which is given. Now the dataset which is provided is credit card fraud detection dataset, which contains transactions made using credit cards in September 2013 by European cardholders. And has this dataset presents transactions that occurred in 2 days, uh, uh, where the number of transactions included in the dataset is 2,84,807 transactions, which contains 492 frauds. And the specialty about this dataset is it contains only numerical columns, which are the results of a PCA transformation. And due to the confidentiality issues, the original dataset is not provided. The dataset after the PCA transformation is provided with the Kaggle in the Kaggle, and the features after transformation are named as V1, V2 up to V28. And the columns which have not been transformed using PCA analysis are time and amount. Time in the sense it is the number of seconds elapsed between each transaction. I mean the first transaction and the next transaction. And the amount means the transaction amount. And another feature class, it is a target variable and also called as response variable, which refers to as whether the fraud has happened or not. If the class feature contains 1, then it is called as fraud has happened, and if it is 0, it refers to the fraud hasn't happened. This is a small introduction about the dataset, credit card fraud detection dataset. And coming to the exploratory data analysis, in short form, we call it EDA. EDA is an approach that is used to analyze the data and discover trends, patterns, and errors in the data with the help of a statistical analysis and graphical representations. And this EDA is of 3 types. It depends on the data sets and the number of features the dataset has. EDA is of 3 types, which are univariate analysis, bivariate analysis, and multivariate analysis. Univariate analysis means if the number of features of the response variables are only 1, or if we analyze only 1 variable, it is called as univariate analysis. Bivariate analysis means if we analyze 2 variables or 2 features, it is called as bivariate analysis. And multivariate analysis in the sense, if we are doing analysis on multiple variables, it is called as multivariate analysis. Now coming to the task, I performed EDA on credit card fraud detection dataset. So first step we have to do is we have to import the libraries and dataset into the Jupyter notebook in order to read the dataset. So for importing the dataset, we use a pandas library, and for this data analysis, NumPy and pandas libraries support very well. And for visualization tasks, Matplotlib and Seaborn libraries are very much useful. So here the picture depicts the importing of libraries and reading of the CSV file. This is a small screenshot of the code, and which I will be showing in the demonstration. And the second one, so I will show the demonstration. Okay. So here I have imported the libraries like pandas, NumPy, and Matplotlib and Seaborn, which are used for visualization tasks. And the pandas library provides read underscore CSV method for reading the dataset, which is credit card CSV. And the head function here, we use this head function to get only 5 rows from the dataset. And this is the dataset. By using the head function, we can obtain 5 rows, first 5 rows of the dataset. And this time V1, V2, V3, and so on up to V28 are the features. And the amount is the transaction amount which are included. And class here 0 refers to the fraud hasn't happened. This is about importing the CSV file dataset. And now, and when the dataset is given to us, when the large dataset is given to us, we cannot go through it and find the number of rows and columns in the dataset. So the pandas library and NumPy library is provided with the shape variable to find number of rows and columns in the dataset. So here data refers to the variable, the data frame. It contains the whole dataset, and the shape variable is used to find the number of rows and columns present in the dataset. So here when I use data.shape, it has given a tuple with two numbers, which are 2,84,807,31, which refers to there are 2,84,807 rows and 31 columns in the dataset. So let us see the collab here. So when I run this book dataset, so it has given that it has 2,81,913, 31, which means 2,81,913 rows are there with 31 columns. So this is the use of shape function. Next one. So getting summary. So we can find out the summary from the dataset. That means the statistical summary. For this, we can use describe function, which gives a good picture of the distribution of data, which means the statistical computations. So the describe functions applies basic statistical computations like mean, standard deviation, and the count in the each column. So we get statistical summary by using describe function. Yeah. And if the dataset contains any null value, or if the data is missing in the dataset, then this describe function automatically skips that row and again continues its calculation. So here in the screenshot here, the describe function is used so that we can get the statistical computations like mean here, standard deviation. STD refers to standard deviation of the time column, and here the value refers to the standard deviation of the V1 column, and minimum refers to the minimum value in that column, and 25%, 50%, 75% refers to the 25% of whole of the values, and the maximum value refers to the maximum of all the values in the time column and maximum of all the values in the V1 column, and so on. So let us see. Here the describe function is there. So here I have got all the statistical computations. Here the count refers to these many number of rows are there in the time column, and similarly in the V1 and V2, and so on up to V28 and amount and class. In the same way, mean refers to the mean of all the values in the time column and mean of all the values in the V1 column, and so on. Similarly, it applies to all the columns. And STD refers to the standard deviation, the standard deviation of all the values in the time column, standard deviation of all the values in the V1 column, similarly to all these columns. In the same way, all the computations are calculated using describe function. Now we can also find the data types and how many null values are there in the data set by using info method. So data type of each column can be found using info method. So here, when the info method is used here, every column is depicted here with non-null count. I mean, how many number of columns are there without having null values and the data type of that column. So here info method is used to find out the data types of the each column. So here the time column is given here, which has 284,807 rows with no null values. And the data type of that column is a float 64. And 64 refers to the size. And similarly, V1 column is given, and it also has 284,807 rows without null values. And these number of rows are having no null values, and the data type of that column is float value. Similarly, now here class represents whether fraud has happened or not. These many rows are having without null values, and it is in the dataset it is given as 0 or 1, so it is an integer. So the class data type is given as integer. So this is all about info method. Now the next one, we can find the unique values in the data set. That means which column has how many number of unique values. This can be found using by using n unique method. Now this will help us in deciding which type of encoding to choose for converting categorical columns into numerical columns. So by using n unique function, we can find how many number of unique values each column has. Yeah. So here I have used n unique function for the given data. So each column is given here with number of unique values in the data set. I mean, the time column has 1,24,592 unique values, and similarly with all these columns. Here class has only two unique values, right? So 0 or 1. So these are the two unique values that the class column has. So it is given as 2. So that by using this n unique method, we can find number of unique values in each column in the given data set. No. So there is no sure that every data set contains all the values. So there can be data sets with some missing values. So right, some information may not be recorded in the data set. So we have to handle those missing values, because some machine learning models will not be working, will not be predicting correctly with the missing values in the data set. So we have to handle those missing values. So handling those missing values is important, as those missing values may vary the prediction values and the output of the model. So by using, so we can detect the missing values in the dataset by using isNull function, which is provided by the pandas data frame. We shall see that using isNull method. So by using we can use isNull method to find number of null values in each column. So here, when I used isNull method, here every column is given with the value false, false, false. So which represents this column 0th row has no null value. Here 0th row in the V1 column, there is no null value. So like this, the false represents there is no null value in this row. And if there is true, it depicts that it is a null value. So when we see this data frame, it is difficult for us to identify how many null values are there in the data set in each column. So to simplify this, we can use heat map also for visualization purpose. So when we use heat map here, here it is blank, which depicts there are no null values in the data set. If there are any null values in the heat map, it represents some yellow dots in the heat map, so that we can identify that there are null values in some column. So as in the given dataset, there are no null values. So here the heat map is depicted empty here. To simplify this further, we can use isNull.sum method, because it gives a summary of all it gives a summary of Easnal method, which means the time column has zero null values. The V1 method V1 column has zero null values, and V2 column has zero null values. So we can simplify the procedure to find out how many null values by using sum method. So this is by this. So in this way, we can find how many null values are there in each column by using Easnal method. And in the given data set, there are no null values in the columns. Yeah, and this is the missing visualization of missing values. We can visualize it through heat map. So as our data set contains no null values, the heat map is empty. If there are any null values, some yellow dots will be represented in the heat map. Now another step in this EDA is data encoding. So in many data sets, we can have some categorical data values, which means some words like if we consider gender as an column, it can depict gender contains only male or female like that. So those are called as categorical values. So so there is a chance to have categorical values in our data set. So, but due to these categorical values, some some machine learning models like linear regression does not work. So we have to encode that categorical data into numerical columns. So many machine learning models work well on numerical data than categorical data. So we have to encode the categorical data into numerical data. So for that, there are many different methods for encoding. So one of the method is label encoding or one-hot encoding. And the dataset which is given for us is credit card dataset, which contains only floating values. I mean, we have only floating values or integer values. So we do not have any strings here. I mean, that means we don't have any categorical data in our data set. So there is no need of doing data encoding. And the next step in EDA is outliers. Outliers are nothing but these are also some data points, but that which deviates significantly from other data points. Those points are called as outliers. So due to these outliers and handling due to these outliers, the prediction may vary because the outlying points may differ. I mean, may vary the regression line in some cases. So handling these outliers is also very important in the machine learning model building. So these outliers can be detected using box plot by using visual way, and for removing and by identifying the outliers, if we find that these outliers are not necessary, so if we found that, then we have to remove the outlier. So for removing the outlier, we have to find the exact position of those points in the datasets, and we have to remove those data points, or we have to remove that value in the data set. So for this method, for this process, we can use IQR, which is interquartile range method for detecting and removing the outliers. So let us see how we can detect outliers using box plot. So Seaborn library is used for visualization purpose. So Seaborn library provides us a built-in function called box plot. So I have used one column here V15 for example. So the values in the V15 column are given to the box plot method for visualizing the data points in the V15 column. So here the box plot depicts the data points outside this upper range and this lower line are called as outliers. So we have to remove these outliers. So for removing the outliers, I have used here IQR method to detect the outliers and to remove those. So by using this IQR method, I have dropped the data points which are lying. This line is called as upper bound. This line is called lower bound. So the data points which are lying above upper bound and and below lower bound are called as outliers. So I have dropped them by using drop function here. And after dropping those points, and again the box plot has been drawn here so that there are no outliers depicted here. So this is how we can detect and remove the outliers by using IQR method. And count plot. And see, and here the count plot can be used to visualize the column values. I mean the count, the class here I have used a count plot to visualize the class function, the class column, how many values it has. So the class column has only two unique values, which are 0 and 1. So the columns, the rows, the number of rows where the 0 class is noted are many, and the number of rows where the class is 1 is very low. The count plot gives the count of frauds happened in the transactions. And here a class refers to the fraud, whether it has happened or not. Here 0 refers to no, there is no fraud, and 1 refers to the fraud has happened during the transaction. So the fraud transactions are very less in the data set. So here by using count plot function, which is provided by Seaborn library, I have drawn the graph of the class and its count. I mean the 0 depicts there is no fraud. So non-fraud numbers are very large in number and fraud transactions are very less in number. The graph depicts that. So this is all about the exploratory data analysis, some steps. In conclusion, I would like to say exploratory data analysis is a very powerful tool so that we can highlight problems in our dataset and we can find some errors in the dataset, and we can explore and we can analyze the data insights and we can suggest the patterns also in the data. And due to this analysis part, some irrelevant data can be ignored, like outliers. So we can drop them, which outliers means the data points which are not useful for the building machine learning model. So we can ignore the irrelevant data so that further evaluation time can be decreased. And we can determine the quality of the data and find outliers in the data. By removing that, we can improve the quality of the data. And we can find the relationships between the variables and get a statistical summary by using describe method. And I have used Kaggle for downloading the dataset, which is provided by Hackweather, and some Geeks for Geeks for studying about EDA. These are my references. So if you have any question answers, you can ask me. Thank you.
Okay. I hope you are done with your presentation.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
It is completed.
See, the presentation was good, but I would say the content was really great. Okay, you explained it well, but you need to work on your hook. So when I say hook, so let us say, and also like, you need to work on like how to start a presentation. So you started by giving a story. That is a good thing. You try to build a story that your viewers can follow. But first, like, discuss on your data set and discuss on your task, what your task is, and then the various things about your data set, and then go on to like, make a story about EDA, because that is what you will be doing on your data set, right? So start by that. First and foremost, we start with your introduction, then about your task, then about some little bit on the data set, and then you can start with your story, and then you can go on to like, explain about EDA and everything. See, the PPT content was really great. Okay. Explanation can improve, story can also improve. Okay. You have room for improvement in that. But you need to work on your project demonstrations skills, right? So when you were like giving demonstration, it wasn't really clear, like, what outputs you are getting. See, let us say when you got a data set, so you will start with the like, explaining what is a raw data, like, the raw data that you got in a data set. There will be a raw data that is not formatted or like, not clean. So you will try to explain what you understand from that kind of data and what things can be do and what you are trying to achieve from this process, right? And then you will go on to explain what things we will do to make it meaningful, right? So you have V1, V2, V3. So can you tell me what is that information?
Okay, sir.
Can you tell me what is V1, V2, V3?
Those are just column names which have given, sir, after transformation.
Sorry?
Just column names, sir.
Column, the data that those column have, what data it is, what you understood from that.
Actually, the original dataset is not provided by the Kaggle, sir. They have already done the PCA transformation. So after the transformation, they have provided us, sir.
So did you not understand anything what that information is?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
The
Then
dataset is not provided, sir.
see the
They have
date, that is the data set that you got, that you received V1, V2, V3, the amount is there, the fraud is there, that is the data set, right? You need to understand what it is. Okay. Look at the previous presentation that we have. There are interns who have given presentation on the same topic and they have explained what that information is. They were able to find out what it is, right? So start with the root of the problem. As I said, the problem with your presentation was, see, you did focus on a lot of topics that we should consider while doing the EDA, but your actual task, the actual project demonstration was not up to the par, right? There was also heat map that had like only single color. Okay, so I think there is also some problem with that. You should confirm what it is, right? And then other things are, when you are explaining, focus more on the like output part, what output we are getting, right? In all of your presentation, in the conclusion part, you could have explained like what are your findings, what you understood from doing that, but you have included like what are the good things about EDA, why we should use EDA. That doesn't make sense as a conclusion. Okay, so in a what is a conclusion? Conclusion is basically from your task what you understood, right? So you didn't understood that EDA can be done. We can do this many things with EDA. That is a general knowledge. We use EDA to do these things, right? I want to know what you got from the task itself, right? So include what your findings are. Include your results. Okay.
okay.
You have various heat maps and various count tables and everything. So you can include that. Like this is my finding. We can go through that process again, right? See, in a good presentation, there is repetition in a good way. So you shouldn't repeat one thing too many times, but you should repeat it so that your viewers understand what is going on. Okay. Let us say if I have a single topic and then I'm explaining it, if in future, I'm giving the presentation, let us say after 2 or 3 slides, I come back to that topic again, then my viewers will be able to connect with me. They will say, okay, yeah, he did explain it in previous slide, and now he is connecting it to this topic. So your presentation will come together really well. So try doing that and also focus more on your outputs and what you are trying to achieve. And if you have achieved it or not, you need to explain that in the conclusion and result. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. So focus more on that. But I would say the PPT content was great. It is just that you need to include result in that.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
So next time, keep in mind in conclusion part, try to include results.
Okay. Okay, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Then we'll move on to Pravin.
Sorry, sir, there is mic problem, sir. I will be sitting in my environment.
Sorry. Can you,
Sir?
Yeah, now you're audible.
Am I audible, sir?
Yeah, now you're audible. Yeah.
Sir, I am setting my environment. Sorry, sir, but I will give after one presentation.
You are the last person to present, I believe. They're like most of the people have already left. Yeah.
Sir, 1 minute, sir. I will start.
Sure. Arun Achar, you have any general discussions or presentation? Else we will proceed with Pravin. Please turn your camera on, Pravin.
Yes. Am I visible?
Yeah, you're visible.
Okay, sir. One minute. So, good evening, everyone. My name is Pravin Jamale. I am a Python developer intern in the company. I was working on the task, which is choosing the right Python web framework. So, this is my task, and this will be the content of my presentation, which is I will give you the introduction to the Python programming, what it is, and what is the Python web frameworks, and what are the Python web frameworks we are using in Python. Um, I can say we are using we using the Python the various Python web frameworks, which is Django, Fast API, and Flask, which is we can say typically used Python web frameworks. And I will give you the explanation of Python web frameworks in next slides. So we will understand what the Python web frameworks and most usable, or I can say typically Python web frameworks, which is Fast API, Flask, and Django. And I will give you information about their use cases, pros and cons, and having the what features they have, and also general introduction to these Python web frameworks. So let's get started with the introduction of the programming, Python programming. So we all know Python is an interpreted high-level programming language, so which is developed by Guido van Rossum in 1991. We use Python for web development, software development, game development, system scripting, for developing websites and softwares, for automation. So in after that, Python. What is Python web framework? We get question that what is Python web framework when we are new to the Python web framework. So what is the Python web framework actually? So Python offers many web frameworks that provide developers with pre-built code for creating web applications. So three major Python web frameworks used when developing web applications are Django, Flask, and Fast API. So these are the other Python web frameworks which are not I am explaining today. I am explaining only three Python web frameworks, which I can say most usable or typically used Python web frameworks, which is Django, Flask, and Fast API. Others Python web frameworks are Web2Py, Bottle, CherryPy. So first, we will see Django Python web framework, which is popular open source full stack Python web framework, and it uses ORM, which enables developers to interact with database. And main database that Django works on are Oracle, MySQL, and SQLite. So how to install Django? When we say Python Python Django web framework. So how we can install this Django Python web framework? So we need to use command prompt, or we can say Windows PowerShell, uh, where we can after typing pip install Django, we can install Django Python web framework. Pip is a package. From that we can install packages, modules, or frameworks like Django. So when we use this command pip install Django, then we can install Django Python web framework. And after installing, uh, when we comes to checking that or verifying that Django is installed or not in our we can say desktop. So we can after that we can type Python uh, minus cm Django minus version, so that we can check the Django is installed. We can verify that Django Python we promote is on our desktop. So I want to give you one sample. Say I can say a demo about it, that how we can install it and check it. The Python web frameworks is installed or not on our system. So I will be opening first command prompt so that we can type it on the whether it is installed or not. Is it this screen my screen visible, sir?
Yeah, it is visible.
Okay, sir. Thank you. We use this command pip install Django so that we can install this Python web framework. After typing this, we can enter the button, and we can see that I already installed this, so that it said that requirement already satisfied. If it is not, then it will be downloaded from the internet, and it will be on system. So after that, we can check is it available or not on our system, so that we can type Python minus cm Django minus version. Sorry. Yes, right now it is visible that it's tells us that it's version of 4.2.2. It's Django version, which is installed on our system. This is the verification, or we can check for our we can check Django Python web framework installed or not on our system. So like that, we can install other Python web frameworks also. I will give you the information in next slides of other web frameworks, that is Flask and Fast API. So this is about how to install and check whether is Python web framework is on our system or not. So in next slides I can give you the information about pros and cons of this Python web framework. Pros of this Django Python web framework, which is efficient code. We can put and we can use efficient code. I can say whether it is in terms of fast, or we can say quality code we can generate from this Python web framework while creating web applications. So it is a development of this web application in Python web framework like Django is faster. Then it is scalable and flexible. So cons, I can say it is not suitable for smaller project. It is for complex projects. Django models can have no mixins; they just have simple inheritance. Everything is based on Django ORM. ORM means operational relation. ORM means object relational mapper, which connects or simplifies working with databases instead of complicated database queries. And, it connects or integrates with databases. Uh, Instead of typing various complicated database queries, it simplifies this operation to connect with the databases. So after pros and cons, use cases of the Django Python web framework. So famous, we know of the Washington Post uses Django as the backbone of its content management systems. This is the actual, I can say actual example of this uh, Django Python web framework. Also, Shopify utilizes Django for its backend infrastructure. So after use cases, I will give you the information about features of this Python web framework for Django. So database migration, as I already said you that it comes with its own ORM, means object relational mapper, which simplifies working with databases instead of complicated database queries. Then authentication, it is process involves functionality that allow users to register, log in, and log out. When we go to the particular website, then we see that there is a login, logout web page on that website. So that authentication is also better in Django Python web framework. This also done by this web framework. Authentication also done by web framework. Also more secure as compared to other frameworks. As I said, information today about three web frameworks, that is Django, Flask, and Fast API. In compared to Fast API and Flask, this Django web framework is more secure than the other web frameworks. So second Python web framework is Flask. It is lightweight, means that it is a web framework that is simple, minimalistic, and does not come bundled with excessive features and dependencies. If we compare it to the Django, so Django is comes with bundled, or I can say extensive with extensive features, because it develops complex web applications. So it requires extensive or excessive features or to develop web applications. So in terms of Fast, it does not come bundled with excessive features or dependencies. So as I say in Django, it comes with ORM, means which integrate or support to the Django web framework. In terms of Flask Python web framework, there is no built-in ORM support. Means ORM support actually allows to choose and integrate any ORM of choice based on project needs. Means it integrates with databases. So therefore we need to ORM. Here in a Flask web framework, there is no built-in ORM support. That is the point over Django web framework. How to install Flask web framework? As I said before, for Django Python web framework, by using command prompt. Like that, also you can also install Flask by using command prompt or Windows PowerShell. We only need to type another sentence, or we can say text, that pip means pip package. Already I said you that pip install Flask. We can type in command and we can install Flask. And how we can check it? Pip show Flask is the text that after that we can check is it installed or not in our desktop or system. So it is about installing Flask and checking Flask whether it is installed or not on our system. After that, pros and cons of the Flask Python web framework. Flask is flexible and comfortable, which also scalable, and Flask is very beginner friendly. Means it is easy to understandable Python web framework. And in terms of cons of Flask Python web framework, it is not able to use for high load enterprise software. As I said in Django, it is used for complex web applications. In terms of Flask, it is not able to use for high load enterprise software or complex software applications or web applications. Use cases of Flask Python web framework. Reddit is the big example of this Flask Python web framework, which employs to manage their web application, allowing users to submit post, comment on them, and interact with community. E-commerce systems is also example or use cases of Flask Python web framework. In e-commerce system, mainly to build a product catalog or order management system is done by Flask Python web framework. Features of Flask Python web framework is it is fast debugger, means it has built-in debugger that makes it easy to identify and fix issues during development. We can say coding. HTTP request handling allows to define specific web address or URL that a user can visit and map them to specific functions or methods. It defines specific web address or URL that user can visit. It maps them to specific functions or methods. When user come to our website or website application, and what they click on what they click on our website, it will output some things on it. It's done by HTTP request handling. So it is also feature of this Python web framework, and ability to plug any ORM. Flask is designed to be flexible and allows integrate to any object relational mapping library of choice. As I said in Django, it is a built-in ORM system in Django Python web framework, but in Flask there is no built-in ORM system. Flask Python web framework require to integrate object relational mapping. So this is all about Flask Python web framework. Third Python web framework is Fast API Python web framework. In name itself, we can say that it is about APIs. Fast API is simple to use and its documentation is easy to follow. And Fast API is used by tech giants such as Microsoft, Netflix, and Uber. Fast API is used to build modern high-performance web framework for building APIs. In APIs, we can say web APIs for web applications. Here, how to install Fast API Python web framework. Here also we can use command prompt or Windows PowerShell. In that we can use this text, and after this after entering this text, we can install Fast API, and after installing we can check that whether it is installed on our system or not by this text. So this is about installing of Fast API Python web framework. This is pros and cons of Python Fast API Python web framework. Fast, it is pros of Fast API Python web framework that it is fast. Fast API uses Python's type hints and static type checking, which helps catch errors and bugs early in the development process. It is intuitive, it's easily understandable. When we comes to learning curve of these three Python web framework, this is very easily understandable Python web framework, which is Fast API. And in terms of cons, we can say Fast API is relatively new, so that its community is small compared to other frameworks. We know various languages and frameworks having their particular community. So in that perspective, here is in Python Fast API web framework, there is a small community of this API. So that this is the cons for it. Use cases of this Python Fast API web framework, which is it works perfectly if concern is speed. If we develop a web application and our concern is speed, so we can shift to the Fast API for making APIs for our web applications. Microsoft Azure utilizes Fast API to build APIs for their cloud services. Also, another example or use cases of the Fast API Python framework is Uber. Uber, which is has adopted Fast API for building high performance APIs related to their ride sharing and logistics services. For that, they use Fast API Python web framework. Features of Python Python fast API web framework is high performance, fast to code, easy to understand, and minimal bugs because it already early when we are early in our development process, it already catch the error and we fix them accordingly so that it is minimal bugs uh, created. We can say this Python framework is, and this is conclusion of my all presentation that I give you the all the information about these three Python web framework as said to me that in my task that I need to understand these three Python web framework and comparing I need to compare these three Python web framework and this is about my presentation, my information and conclusion is that uh, Django is perfect for building robust full stack websites with its extensive functionalities and works very well in production. After very well in production means in developing stage and after deployment, it works very well. It's perfect for complex projects, and we can build a full stack websites. Uh, Even we use Python programming language for backend systems typically, so that but Django web frameworks allows us to build full stack websites. Flask is also for usual for machine learning engineers or developers who want to quickly prototype a web application and build APIs easily and quickly. For quickly uh, for quickly making of the web application and APIs, we can use Flask. And for the also I can say that I'm not able to fill the complete information on the presentation, but I will say that Flask is used for small to medium sized projects also, and fast API perfect for APIs and microservices with speed. If our concern is speed and scalability, mainly speed, so we can use fast API for our project, which is for web application or we can whether it is a website. So this is a conclusion about that about my presentation that Django we can use for complex projects, for full stack website, for making full stack websites also with extensive functionalities, and Flask is for small to medium sizing project, or we can say for making quickly prototype of web application or for making or building quickly APIs, and fast API perfect for APIs and microservices if our concern is speed. This is the references that I usually to demonstrate my presentation, which is Django official documentation, Flask official documentation, Fast API official documentation, and also I get task reference within the task that I get from the mail. Within that task, I get this fourth reference. Also, I used GPT models also to generate my informations, whether it is correct or not, or I analyzed the information from the GPT models also. If any concerns, then you can ask me about any Python web frameworks, or I can say how to install it, or we can check it, or whether it is in terms of features, whether in terms of their pros and cons. So if any concerns, so you can ask me. Have you any concerns? Have you any doubt?
Okay, I don't think anyone has any doubt. We can conclude.
Sorry, sir, but I am not able to see from here that how many participants are there.
Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, no one has any doubt.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay, see, I would say, please turn your camera. Pravin, turn your camera. Yeah. Are you done with your presentation, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. See, the presentation content was good, the PPT that you have created. Okay, that is quite generic PPT that you have a lot of information, good information you have. But when it comes to presentation, this is just not enough because most of the information that you have provided, I can just go on the Fast API website, Fast or Django website. I will get that information. Right, it is on the front page of the website. Then how does your presentation help me in choosing which website I will choose? Just do you
So,
think it is just enough if you just tell me that Django is good for a big website, Fast API is good for like small scale to medium scale, and say Fast API is also good for like medium size website. Do you think it is just enough to conclude it right now? Because you give example that Reddit is using it. Okay, Reddit is a really big website. Okay, I think it is in top 5 when it comes to like a number of people who are online and using Reddit on each and every day. So do you think that is a like mid-level website or a small scale website? Is it a big website?
yes,
Like it is really a big
yes,
website. So why are they not using Django?
yes, sir. I try to make website in one of Python web, but there is technical problem in my system, so that I can not able to make a
You don't need
website
to
or
create a
any one
website.
project.
See,
I
you
will
don't
raise
need to
my
create
technical
it.
issue in.
No, no, you are not understanding it. That is not the point that you are able to create a website. You don't need to create a website. You need to give me some kind of case study and then explain me why I should choose a certain framework. Okay. You don't have to you give me some demo on how to install Django and check version. Do you think that was relevant when it comes to this presentation? Your presentation is choosing the right Python framework and you did show me like how to install Django or Fast API. That is not really relevant, right? Instead of showing me how to install Python, you could have given a simple case study on let us say Instagram who is actually using Django, how they are actually implementing Django, and what should other examples are where I can use Django. That will be much preferable. That is not something I can find in a website. If I just go on a simple their front page, I cannot find that information. Correct. It is your job to do that research and present it in the presentation. Okay, you are not supposed to create a website in each framework. That is not the point of this task. Your point is to make it clear why it should a certain framework should be installed or like for certain frameworks should be used, right? So I would say you need to do more research on this one. Okay, work on your presentation skills and only show demo when it is relevant and show demo on the things that you are told to do. So let us say when it comes to comparing Django frameworks, you can do simple comparison or simple case studies on each framework, a small level case study where it is much clear like which framework we can use for which type of project, right? Also, there were not, I believe, good enough examples. So focus more on the example, try to give more real life example that are much more people have already heard about it. Let us say if I say the people Instagram using Django or you said Reddit is using Flask, then how it is actually being implemented. And if I say I have some kind of website, then how I can use those features. That should be discussed. But your conclusion was really great, I would say. Okay, the conclusion was really well done. You did make it clear everything in the end, like what level should be there for each and every framework. So that is a good thing. But for your actual content, work on that. PPT content was okay. Also work on your communication skills. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
I
Yeah.
try to be in detail to do presentation in detail. I also do one presentation before this presentation where I give information so detailed. So, but it's too long to demonstrate myself. So this is also
So don't worry about if
something
the
that I
presentation
search
is
a
too
lot
long.
and
No, don't worry about if the presentation is too long. It is it is a skill to make summarize lot of data into a simple presentation. That is why we have presentation. If I just want to get lot of data, as you were saying, there is lot of data, I can just go to a website, search it on my own and read it, right? But in a presentation, we are expecting you to explain all that information. That is the point of this presentation, right? So work on this. Other than that, I would say, see, your presentation skills are good. It is just that you need to do more, in-depth research on your actual content, because the content that you have showed me, I can easily find it in the front page of every frame. Right. So we need more in-depth research in this. Other than that, I would say it was fine.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, I just want to, sir, I want to, when I get score of this presentation,
By tonight.
by tonight, sir.
Yeah, by tonight before 10:30.
Okay, sir.
Thank you. Manoj.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, can you turn your camera first?
Sir, I'm from Web Developer Group. I'm
Turn
getting some
your
error,
camera
sir.
on first.
Sorry,
Yeah.
sir. Sir, I'm from Web Developer Group.
Okay.
I'm getting some error, sir.
Okay, what is the error you are getting?
So wait a second, I will share screen. So it is visible now.
Yeah, it is visible.
Sir, in index.html file, I wrote a logic of JavaScript. Whenever we click on a search button, it will be further respond to this. But in my case, sir, whenever I am clicking on a search button, it doesn't give any response, sir.
Okay, wait. Show me
Sir,
the code file.
yeah.
Show me the code file.
So it is again. So here is the idea. Whenever I click on this button, I should get a response.
See, it is not really visible. Do one thing. Make a zip file. Okay, and send it on my email. Okay, I will look into what is issue, and then I will share it with you. Okay.
So what is your email, sir?
I am put it in the
I don't
chat
know.
box.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Sir, tomorrow is my submission day. In what
Yeah.
manner we have to submit the file, sir?
You need to create a GitHub profile. Okay, make a public repository, and then you can share it. And also
Okay,
share
sir. Thank you, sir.
the working link. Okay, share the code files in a zip format here. Okay, maybe there is problem with the syntax, most probably, if you are getting the JavaScript or
Yes, sir. I
jQuery
will
error.
try from 2 hours, sir.
Yeah, check the syntax
Okay, sir. I
again,
will share.
or check if you are importing the CDN.
Yes, sir. I imported a CDN.
Okay, see, your code is not really visible from my screen. Okay, it is really small. You can make a zip file and send it to me. I will let you know by tomorrow, by tonight, or by tomorrow 10 a.m. Okay.
Okay, sir. I will send it now.
Yeah, share it right now. I will look into it right now.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, guys. So I believe we are done with all the presentation. So there are no more people here left for the presentation. So we will conclude the session here. You guys can leave now, and I will wait for like 2-3 minutes. If no one joins, then we'll conclude the session. Thank you for joining. Okay, Manoj, have you sent it? Hello, Manoj, are you still in the mid? Send it to me. I will check it from my side because we have some time. I can just check it right now.